can go ahead and start. I think most all of you already know I'm Maia Rose, and I'm on the Spiritual Life Committee and the board representative for Wyoming Friends Month. I'm Maia Rose, and I'm getting a repeat. Yeah. Okay. I'm here. We'll welcome you to our open conversation on marriage and family. It's part of our Wyoming Mosaic. Then this is organized by the Wyoming Interfaith Network's Spiritual Life team. In this series, we have conversations with practitioners, leaders, and experts about religion and spirituality in Wyoming. Our goal is to celebrate, educate, and have critical conversations that help us understand our neighbors better. You can view a recording of this presentation and all previous and future conversations on our website, wyointerfaith.org, or on Facebook. Tonight, we're doing something a little different, opening up the conversation for you to share your thoughts and experiences. Our topic for the evening is marriage and family. We will start with some quotes from a variety of traditions to get us thinking about the topic. Then I will offer some questions to the group for discussion. If you have any questions or comments as we go along, feel free to raise your hand, put a question in the chat box, or just jump in. We wouldn't want to miss hearing what you have to say. Okay, the quotes then. Can you put those up on the screen now, Anna Marie?
Yep. There we go.
Okay, I got a box in the way of. Okay, the first quote is from the Apache wedding prayer. Now you will feel no rain, for each of you will be shelter to the other. Now you will feel no cold, for each of you will be warmth to the other. Now there is no more loneliness, for each of you will be companion to the other. Now you are two bodies, but there is one life before you. Go now to your dwelling place to enter into the days of your togetherness, and may your days be good and long upon the earth. And the next quote is from the Hinduism, Atharva Veda. Sweet be the glances we exchange, our faces showing true concord. Enshrine me in your heart and let one spirit dwell within us. I wrap around you this my robe, which came to me from Manu, so that you may be wholly mine and never seek another. And the next one is Judaism from the Talmud, Yabama. He who loves his wife as himself, who honors her more than himself, who rears his children in the right path, and who marries them off at the proper time of their life, concerning him it is written, and you will know that your home is at peace. And then from the Buddhism, Sutta Nipata, supporting one's father and mother, cherishing wife and children, and a peaceful occupation. This is the greatest blessing. The next one is from Zoroastrianism, which is a religion I had not heard of before. May in this family discipline overcome indiscipline, peace, discord, charity, miserliness, devotion, arrogance, the truth spoken word, the false spoken word, which destroys the holy order. And from Christianity, Colossians 3:13, bear with one another, and if one has a complaint against another, forgive each other. As the Lord has forgiven you, so also you must forgive. And from both Judaism and Christianity, the Bible Song of Solomon, set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon your arm. For love is strong as death. Jealousy is cruel as the grave. It flashes are flashes of fire, a most vehement flame. Many waters cannot quench love, neither can floods drown it. If a man offered for love all the wealth of his house, it would be utterly scorned. And from Islam, Quran, Lord, give us joy in our wives and children, and make us models for the God-fearing. And also from Islam, Quran, among his signs is that he created spouses for you among yourselves, that you may console yourselves with them. He has planted affection and mercy between you. And from the Baha'i Faith, Abdul Baha, the promulgation of universal peace. According to the teachings of Balua, the family, being a human unit, must be educated according to the rules of sanctity. All the virtues must be taught the family. The integrity of the family bond must be constantly considered, and the rights of the individual members must not be transgressed. All these rights and prerogatives must be conserved, yet the unity of the family must be sustained. The injury of one shall be considered the injury of all, the comfort of each the comfort of all, the honor of one the honor of all. And also from the Baha'i Faith, Abdul Baha, selections from the writings of Abdul Baha. The Lord, peerless is he, hath made woman and man to abide with each other in the closest companionship, and to be even as a single soul. They are two helpmates, two intimate friends, who should be concerned about the welfare of each other. If they live thus, they will pass through this world with perfect contentment, bliss, and peace of heart, and become the object of divine grace and favor in the kingdom of heaven. And before we move on to the other questions, is there anything that stood out for you while listening to these quotes?
I liked how it really listed a lot of different ways of taking care of each other.
I was sensing that the unity does not eliminate the individuality, that every important, but trying to make the unity of the family unit, that's a little redundant there, but that priority would require, I think, I'm looking beyond the quotes a little bit, but how much it would take of self-sacrifice, but by choice and not infliction. I don't know if that was a little bit roundabout, but
Yeah.
the choice to make the unit the priority is there in that commitment.
I like in the Baha'i faith first section, the way they stated it, the integrity of the family bond must be constantly considered, and the rights of the individual members must not be transgressed, so that they put both, get both in there. I also liked in the Apache prayer, the way they put it as, let's see, where is it? Yes, now you are two bodies, but there is one life before you. Go now to your dwelling place to enter into the days of your togetherness. Any other thoughts about the quotes? Okay, we can go to the questions then. For the purposes of this discussion, we will define family as the basic unit of society, consisting of two or more people who all have duties and responsibility toward one another and to the family as a whole. So how has your spiritual tradition influenced your marriage family life?
Married couple?
Yeah.
Bernie?
All eyes on me. I think that I was raised Christian and became a Baha'i, and in the teachings of the Baha'i faith, the spiritual union are first and foremost. And I don't know that I looked at marriage that way before. It seemed to be more of combining of, I guess I hate to say it this way, but combining of material things and that kind of stuff. And so that's the thing I got from my spiritual teachings, that is really kind of like what it said in the Apache prayer, that it's really the combination of it's an entirely different spiritual union than I had realized before. And that's what I've really appreciated in my study of spiritual scriptures, is really understanding that. It makes it easier to get through some of the tough times, I think, when you see the bigger picture.
I would say it kind of influenced us at every stage so far. I mean, from, the Baha'i writings tell you that you should know someone's character before you marry them. And we were friends for a number of years before we were ever romantically involved. But there's not a lot of, we never really dated. We just went from being friends to being married. Because at that point we knew where we were at. I think it influences how we interact with each other, and what we put as the priorities when we're interacting with each other. As far as family, there's sort of a structure and a flow and a pattern to Baha'i life that we've really tried to share with our family and make that, I think that's kind of ingrained in them to a point.
Mhm. I think somewhat could be in the next question as well, but I think a lot of family gatherings and celebrations are centered around spiritual traditions, right? And at least in our family. And so you have a coming together over baptisms, over confirmations, over weddings. So I think that influences family life for sure.
I was thinking that I am the one person that is at this point not in a family situation. I'm single. But I still have connections with my brothers and sisters. And in fact, we had a new birth Sunday, which we shared on through texts and that, pictures, photos. And we have been, since the pandemic, been getting together by the Zoom meeting every week. And it's been interesting because we are very different religious backgrounds. Even though we all grew up as Catholic, we have spread out into many different religions. I have some who are Baptist and, you know, pretty conservative Baptist, and I have some who are Baha'i, and I have some who are not associated with any particular faith. And then I'm with the Quakers. So, but it's as far as my Quaker faith, that's what I liked so much about joining the Quaker faith, was that openness to welcome whoever, you know, and you didn't have to become part of it. You're welcome whether or not you are a member, and you are given responsibilities if you want, and given roles to play. So it kind of fit with my family situation that I would be able to deal with the diverse backgrounds as far as faith goes.
Although I'm no longer married, the marriage Richard and I had was at one of my sister's properties. She had a farm of 40 acres in Michigan. And I know that almost everybody was Catholic in the extended family of mine that came. We ended up with a Lutheran minister doing the service that was local. And my ex-husband now, Richard, was amazed that every first cousin of mine that was alive was there. And of course, all my siblings and many of their kids. So I think what Anne Marie had referred to as special spiritual events, this wedding brought everybody back together that many of us hadn't seen each other in 20 plus years. And they came from around the country, which was pretty amazing too.
Mm-hmm.
So there were high hopes that it would have been a longer union, but for many reasons, maybe perhaps a very diverse faith between Richard and me. He was almost atheist Unitarian, but had been raised in a Lutheran Methodist mixed background. And of course, I was raised Catholic and was floundering between faith at the time. But the extended family union was mostly the high Christian holidays, and grandparents always brought us together. We would fill somebody's basement with long tables and 50, 60 chairs, and all the cousins would be there. So yeah, very important spiritual events would bring us all together when it happened.
Any other comments on that question? Okay, the next question is, what rules or traditions, and this kind of we've covered in a way, does your faith community have around marriage and family life? And is there anything else that you want to speak about?
Well, and in our faith, there's a rule about getting married that you have to get the permission of the parents, which I thought was kind of interesting because it demonstrates that it's not just two people that are coming together. It is family, kind of like what you're saying, Pamela, what you said about your experiences. It really is entire families coming together. And so the idea that in our faith, you have to get the permission of the parents for the marriage is very interesting. I think that's a very healthy way to look at that. And I got some interesting advice from her dad, by the way.
How does it work then if somebody doesn't have parents that are alive?
Well, my parents were not alive, so
Yeah. You're not required to get the permission of parents who are not alive.
Well, obviously, but I'm wondering, is there another family member that is been approached, or is it just the parents?
Just the parents,
just the parents.
Okay. Just curious.
just living parents.
And as through the years, we've heard stories that are very interesting about people who have, because there still is a lot of people that struggle with different faiths and things like that. And so how did a Baha'i couple navigate that issue? There's some very interesting stories, but ultimately they complied with that rule. So.
Mm-hmm. And what happens if a parent did not agree?
Then you would wait or do something different.
Yeah, causes a lot of very deep conversations and discussions.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at really the teachings of all faiths, really, there comes a point where you see that these two people are truly united in their spirits, at a level of friendship, at a level of bonding that transcends physical attraction. It's kind of hard to resist eventually agreeing to that union.
And do the parents have to also be practicing Baha'is, or?
No.
No, but whether they are or not, you would still need their permission.
Right.
Okay. Anyone else have anything? Okay, what are some of the duties and responsibilities of family members?
One of the main ones in the Baha'i faith is to educate the children. That's required of us to make sure that all children, regardless of their gender in particular, are educated. In fact, if you had a boy and a girl and you couldn't educate both for some reason, you would educate the girl first, because she can then go on to educate her children.
So is it the responsibility of the mother to educate then?
It's both. The responsibility of both parents, but the mother is the first educator.
Okay.
This question is one that I think I struggled with because I was married previously, and I found that was something our society didn't do a very good job of, about duties and responsibilities. More importantly, the expectations that people have. And they don't even realize it. It's like they were raised a certain way, and they get married, and then they realize that they have an expectation on their spouse because that's what their parents did, that spouse didn't sign up for, didn't agree to that. And as the role of women has changed and been elevated over the course of my lifetime, it's something that people haven't really discussed well enough. I see that as being really hard on a couple in this world, not unspoken expectations kicking in, and inability to really come to an understanding that both are comfortable with in terms of duties and responsibilities. I think it's hard.
Thank you. Thank you for capturing that so well. It's very insightful. Yes.
For me too, more a duty spiritually would be to learn to respect each other. And the same with the children too, would be to respect. And it's a hard one. That was a hard one for me to learn. It's recognizing, sort of related to what you were saying, realizing that I had an expectation of my husband and had to let go of that in order to let him be who he was. And until I really came to that point of accepting that, there was problems, arguments, and fights because I was wanting him to do it a certain way and he was not willing to. He was going to stay with what he was doing. So it was a very much of a learning experience in the marriage. Okay, and the next question is, how does your faith tradition influence the roles in your family? We kind of talked a little bit about that in this last question, but is there anything else?
I don't know if it's still true of the Catholic tradition, but my father had died. My mother remarried when I was 4, and my stepdad took on 4 kids, not his own, and they quickly had 3 more. I have 3 sisters. They had 3 more daughters. He had to be the breadwinner according to what they believed and what Catholicism, I think, emphasizes, and that mom was stay home. But I do remember when my youngest sister finished high school, my mom just looked at my dad and said, "I'm going to work. I got to do something." And at that time it changed. And he said, "Well, you only have a 7th grade education." And that's as far as she went through school. And she says, "I scheduled a GED exam for tomorrow," and she passed it, which was pretty amazing. After 30 years of rearing kids and not having more than a 7th grade diploma. So yeah, so it changed quickly as soon as kids were out of the house. So I think that was part of their understanding of being Catholic.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm reading a book right now about women's roles and in Christianity, and how much of it over the years was for political reasons, for cultural reasons, and not necessarily scriptural or spiritual reasons. And I'm finding it very interesting and enlightening.
I would say we have fairly traditional roles in our house, but it has nothing to do with our faith. It's just what makes sense for us.
Mm-hmm.
She won't let me teach the kids.
You can teach the kids if you want to. Good luck.
I'm just kidding. She's an expert at that.
I have a pretty detailed plan. I think you could pull it off.
Every day's a vacation day.
I don't know. I've heard your daughter talk there, Katrina. I think she's pretty on it.
Yeah. Although I don't think that has a whole lot to do with her education. I'm just trying to keep up with her. That's just who she is.
Okay, and what does your spiritual tradition tell you about the process of finding a spouse? We've talked a little bit about that already also, but if there's anything further. One thing with the Quakers, the Religious Society of Friends, it asks people when they have a couple has decided to get married under the protection of the Quakers, the Religious Society of Friends, they asked the couple to do what we call a clearness committee. And this is usually it meets one time, although it can meet more than one, but it could be for a couple hours. There's a group of friends, some that often are picked by the couple and some that are from the meeting, that get together and spend time asking questions with the point of not so much finding out information themselves, but in the way of helping the couple to discern for themselves if this is the way that they really want to proceed, and that they feel that this is a comfortable fit, they're a comfortable fit for each other and that. So it's interesting being part of a clearness committee, whether or not it's for you. It's really shows how much we often are asking questions and looking to help people, but it's the way we want, information we want, or to let them know how we would do it, kind of thing. And so you have to really be aware the questions need to be very open questions, without any expectations of what the answer would be or that. It's a really powerful learning experience for each person in the committee, actually.
That sounds like a very healthy process to go through.
Yeah.
Anything that can cause you to think deeply about this union that you're about to form, and how what that means is helpful.
Yeah.
In our faith, that it's encouraged that the couple be in service together, do work in projects together, and that allows them to kind of see each other in that light of striving to accomplish something, what goals and things like that, and get to know that part of the person's personality and character.
I think, a lot of the Christian denominations have a pre-marriage, either counseling or retreat type of thing that brings up some of those areas of discussion that people may have avoided or may have not thought about discussing. I think those are very important.
All right, the next question is one that we have already also talked about some. It's what does it say about raising children?
I think Katrina's already mentioned our perspective. Just curious as to what other perspectives in the Christian community are about raising children. I think, Pamela, you addressed it too with Catholicism, right?
There is the importance of infant baptism in many of the Christian faiths, not all of them. In fact, some of them want you to wait to adulthood, but there's a diversity there. My experience has been both Catholic and Episcopal, and of course that was infant baptism. And from that point on, Christian education was very important as well. It's not true, I don't think, of all faiths, all the Christian faiths or denominations.
In the Quakers, there's a lot of wanting to encourage the children to think for themselves, to be their own person, kind of thing. And so what we usually call our Sunday school, first day school, and that is run by any of the people attending who are wanting to volunteer to do that. And we have several guideline outline programs, but it's always up to the individual group to decide, how they want to go about teaching that.
What's the quote about the gems? Mine. I think this
Oh,
is.
man is a mine rich in gems of inestimable value. Education alone can cause it to reveal its treasures.
I don't know if you guys got that, but
Sorry, trying to remember it while I'm saying it.
What is it?
It's one of the things that we have in our children's classes when you study to become a children's class teacher, is to look at those children as just like these mines of inestimable value and rich and beautiful capabilities. But of course, you have to educate them. It's education is what releases that potential. As a way of thinking of children.
Well, and another way to look at it is that those gems are already there. They already exist. Education is about helping the child to discover them. You're not filling up a cup. You're just uncovering what's already there.
Yeah, the Catholic school education seemed to be across the board, learning a curriculum in each area. And I don't know, maybe because my mother had so little education herself, was not comfortable trying to help us at home. But she did make sure that we were doing homework and things like that. But it was pretty much filling the cup across the board. Independent thought wasn't brought up until about high school age. And then what are you going to do for the career of your life? That thing. Most women was to be just a mother. And I don't want to trivialize that. I know that's an incredible job right there. But when it was looking like I wasn't going to get married right out of high school, I was going to go to college, I was the first one to do that as a full-time goal. It was a whole different thing. And I think that's why I had no idea and went very wayward in many directions all at once. I was a filled cup with no sense of my gemstone. So, yeah, had to find it. Yeah, and I was fortunate. I found it some of that in music.
Okay, well, the last question is, what tips can you share with us about having a healthy and happy marriage and family? Which I think we've already heard a lot, but then you went further.
I liked what you said, Maya, about respect. And I think also compassion. The same things you practice in any relationship, really, but I guess you get more opportunities to practice in
Lots more.
the people you're living with.
And there's an aspect of forgiveness that is as well.
And I think gratitude also. It's often it's easy to overlook when you're with someone day in and day out. to, thank them or be grateful for their presence even, or what they provide
Mhm.
for your family.
I would say here lately, curiosity maybe has been serving us well, just instead of coming at something from, what's wrong with you, trying to understand, why do you think what you think? How do you understand this?
Mhm.
Nice. Do you have a lot of celebratory time also?
Mhm. I think
I'm
for
asking-
me,
Probably asking the Bradleys there.
oh, sorry.
Do we have a lot of celebratory time? I mean, holidays and stuff, but
And we've enjoyed taking vacations and things
Mhm.
like that. That's kind of our, way of in getting out and being and enjoying. But we're pretty much hard workers when we're here. I think one of the things in this question, I find it very similar to what I found when I was single, is that being in service to others is very, very helpful. And we've done that as a family before, and we've done that as a couple. And I've done that when I was just, individual on my own, is that if I start to feel a little down or something, I realize sometimes just helping someone else, being of service to someone else will change everything for me, and I'll feel better. And I think we've seen that in our family too, where we've been able to get the kids out. This is when they were younger, obviously, but we would do things as a family in service for others. And suddenly those irritants that we had been squabbling over just seem to go to the background, and we enjoy, we feel good about ourselves when we do that.
Thank you. That makes me think of the best times I did have with Richard were times that we would go, people that were in hospice care, go play some gentle music for them that they really, really appreciated us giving that service too. I think it was very rewarding for the two of us as well. Thank you for that reminder.
I think there's an aspect of shared spirituality as well. In Christianity, we talk about God being the third person in a marriage. I think if that is not, I think if it's present, it's much richer. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, that's interesting, Henry, that it hit me a while back that I realized I'm not doing anything because she tells me to.
that's for sure.
I'm doing it because I'm obeying God. And if both people are focusing on that higher authority,
Mhm.
it's easier to do the right thing when you should be doing the right thing. Because if it's coming from her, it's not going to happen.
Right.
But if I give him a good quote, he usually lines up.
Yes. Both work for me.
But that's relying on your spirituality, then your faith tradition, right?
Right.
Hey, well, we're gonna be probably closing up a little bit early. But anyway, thank you very much for your attendance and participation. And we'd love to see you at our upcoming events. These people I know are going to be at our upcoming events. So anyway, so you all know about them, right? And if you wanted to support WIN, you know where to go also. So anyway, it's been wonderful though, having the discussion and participation, and everything. So thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
Maya,
for leading us, Maya.
facilitating,
Thank
Anne Marie
you.
for doing the tech.
Yeah,
Very
right.
much I think there was a problem with the Facebook, so I did turn it off, but we've got the other recordings.
Yep.
That's good. Mhm. Okay,
Much.
thank you.
Good safe
Mhm.
travel, Bradley's.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
thank you, Maya and Anna.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.